没有走完的路不会是终点，故事的走向是自己选择的坚持。
这个故事的开头还算不错，相信过程，相信自己走过的路。
那些最激动人心的冒险，从来不是单枪匹马的挑战。
과거는 잊으세요. 내일이 새로운 시작입니다. 내 경기가 새로운 도전입니다.
我们愿意为胜利付出许多代价，改变只是其中之一。
어떤 사람이든 현재에 만족하지 않고 어떠한 사람이든 제자리 걸음을 하지 않는다.
过去的荣耀就存留在记忆中，这一抹红色要照亮未来。
为之付出的心血越多，收获的果实才越甘甜。
赛场上的事怎能尽如人意？我只想追求无愧于心。
保持微笑，胜利总会专顾你。
在尝过赢得一切的滋味之后，你绝对不会甘心做第二名。
尖矛和利刃是勇者的武器，也有最坚硬的盾和扬起风帆的大旗。
如果翻不过这座山， 他们就听不到你的故事。
这个故事的结局将由我们来谱写。为了无悔，为了胜利，为了站在世界这边。
Everyone is starting to expect the unexpected as Cross Conference continues to shake up the LPL. We've had back-to-back upsets and it's created multiple opportunities for teams to not only solidify their spots on the ladder, but also the opportunity to make a late playoff run for the teams at the bottom of the table. So that chance to fight for not only the LPL Championship Cup, but also the opportunities to represent the LPL, the World Championship later on in the year is on the line. Every single team is gearing up, but two teams here in Shanghai are going to get ready for today's matches between FPX as well as Vici. And later on tonight, we'll have a rematch of the semi-finalists from the World Championships last year. It's going to be RNG taking on Team WE. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm Matthew Stewart, your host. Joining me on the analyst desk tonight is Ranto Raz Mohammed. And we're going to take a look at the last 2 days of LPL because unfortunately, we were not covering that action on the English broadcast, but we did have a Chinese broadcast to follow. So first, let's take a look at Tuesday's matches because Raz, it's just been upset after upset in the LPL, and it didn't stop with Tuesday.
It's insane to happen because I had that discussion with Clement coming into Cross Conference, what he expected. Now, he expected WE to be showing some good stuff, not this early, and not against Suning Gaming. Immediately, you'll see nonsense as, of course, the Baron Steel comes through from Mystic. Double MVP performance from the man, and he was backed up by CA on the Talon. Both of them had stunning performances this day.
Mystic has been showing up every time he started for Team WE, picks up the backdoor for their first game victory against Suning, against Elder Dragon as well. Suning were looking good all the way to this match, and in fact, they had a 2-point advantage over everyone else that was looking for that 4th spot until this day.
And for both conferences, the 4th place spot is so important. We had assumed that Suning Gaming were going to be coming into this one. We'll have the discussion later on. Very strong in the 4th place spot, perhaps even challenging JD, but with this loss, with this defeat, it seemed hectic. Angel couldn't find any real ground this series. You can see problems starting to arise. The honeymoon period for this team is slowing down since their recent losses.
Yep, signs of life for Team WE. They've fallen from the grace of the semi-finals last year. They're trying to regroup, but unfortunately that's only the 2nd victory they've had in this split of the LPL. Now, the team that was trying to chase Suning on their side of the conference was LGD. They were 2 points behind, but they also get an upset victory over OMG. Now that 4th place spot on the standings is completely tied.
3 series wins in a row for LGD. Tied in the sense that now we have to really be discussing the point advantage that teams starting to have right now, just because LGD are catching pace up against OMG, showing progress that their vision control around their primary carries have been helpful. So this time around, Jinnu and Y4 getting the MVP performances because in team fights, they were the real champions in those fights.
Yep. At the start of OMG, a little bit of a struggle bringing Wall6 into the jungle. Still starting with Xuan B, but the initial flash of the pan that we saw from them hasn't quite lived up. They've only picked up 3 wins so far in the LPL, but that wraps up Tuesday with another set of matches to be played on Wednesday. And although there were no mismatches there were no shakeups, there were no upsets, it was still Snake as well as BLG being able to take a game off Invictus Gaming and Rogue Warriors.
I was looking forward to Wednesday's sets just because it was all about the team fights for a lot of these teams. Snake, a team in the Western Conference known for their team fights and creativity, going up against Invictus Gaming that are known for their early games. That was what we wanted to see, and Snake took it to them really early on with the skirmishes, with the team fights, even taking it to 3 games. Invictus Gaming just had real talented players though.
The side of Snake, they've been starting with Light a little bit more in the AD carry position. In fact, always starting with Light in that AD carry position. Maestro is their supportive choice. Hoodia is still sitting on the bench, but in their third match, still showing they can still go towards gold funneling with SLFM going back towards Jace in the jungle. Guoguo playing the gold funneler in the mid lane.
I like the fact that Guoguo is starting to showcase that he can be the secondary support for the team. Of course, supporting SOFM's Graves before this series, then coming into this series, of course, with the Gragas pick. So, Snake still have that diversity even with the AD carry player of Light coming in, so they don't necessarily need double support if Guoguo can be the backbone with the team.
Whereas for the match between Rogue Warriors and BLG have been looking up recently, but the team fighting prowess of Rogue Warriors just doesn't stop. SMLZ with a quadra kill in this match.
I mean, it just hurts for BLG having to go up against the team fighting team of Rogue Warriors, best team fighters in the LPL right now. And that's supposed to be the identity that BLG are starting to reach back towards, known as the team fighters of spring when they went to playoffs, still trying to find their identity, coming back to where they were once before. 2-1 series time and again. It's sad that they keep losing in this fashion, but they're getting better.
Yeah, I mean, they have to do something because, again, we talk about it all the time. They were finalists at the Demacia Cup, BLG. They looked good to start the split. They've been trying to take everyone to 3 games, but it's just been so rare where we actually see BLG convert it into points. So hopefully with a single map being taken away there, they can start to reform as they go closer, further into cross-conference. But with that, we can take a look at how the teams currently stand in the LPL. So you talk about that 4th place spot being important. BLG were trying to chase that. Now 1 point behind LGD as well as Suning, who are tied up between 4th and 5th.
Just gets so close. And you talked about the point difference. Remember, when it gets to the playoff time, it counts. Remember last time FPX were bumped out of playoffs versus WE because of the points difference. Right now for LGD, they're 1 point behind. You don't have to think about that in week 10, but for now you can see how close that race for 4th place is.
And BLG need to start picking up points because they've been going to 3-game series and losing them, which is not good for their points in the roster if they start to tie up with Suning as well as LGD. The western side, the 3-way tie between TOP, FPX as well as OMG has been broken, but FPX have a chance to retake that 4th place spot later on today. Top of the table, completely the same. Snake and RNG holding on to that 3rd place spot by a couple of points, whereas Rogue Warriors, EDG, IG, and JDG are currently leading the pack.
And remember, we're in the 6th week, so even though RNG is feeling quite comfortable without Uzi and with the performances they've been having recently, they have to keep up their wins.
We still have about a week and a half left of cross-conference play, and today's matches are going to feature RNG taking on WE, the semi-finals from last year, playing at Xi'an, WE's home arena. But first up today, live here in Shanghai, it's going to be FunPlus Phoenix trying to take down Vici. Vici, who have their Fan Appreciation Day today here.
Yeah, you saw a little bit of the footage in the background, just the, the fans pulling in, the nice graphics that we had for Vici. So for the fans, they think that it's going to be the golden age, at least for today, to push them to take a victory versus FPX.
Yeah, is it going to be though? Because Vici are struggling in the LPL at the moment.
Yeah, if we're having a discussion as we did earlier about that 4th place spot, Vici are not in that discussion at all. They need to start picking up wins, games really, let alone series, because they are not in contention of points, of series matches, and going up against FPX. Sure, they have the talent, but the problem isn't about the talent, it's about the team playing. They just don't have it.
It's just been a reoccurring trend for Vici. They're a very successful esports organization in China, but have not been successful so far in the LPL. Doesn't matter who they brought in as their players of choice, doesn't matter how they change things up. they've always just fallen short, and the past few splits have not looked good for Vici.
Yeah, in a rebuilding period, of course, since joining the LPL, biggest questions have been about talent. Now, they've shored that up. They just need to hit the team play points. Team that doesn't have to deal with that, though. Kimgun in the top lane, Alex in the jungle, Cool rounding out the mid lane, and LWX and Crisp for FPX.
FPX have been trying to reshape their roster. They're looking good in the summer split, but beside of Vici, it's Audi, Swift, Fire Rain, Snow, as well as Caveman.
There are a lot of people in the back. Remember, Coco just signing the dotted lines in the contract, but Fire Rain has been showcasing promise with the Yasuo pick. So, being a bit of a Yasuo specialist, might see that here today. We might see Fire Rain popping up. You would have to going up against FPX.
You would have to. You have to try and take down the veteran of Cool, who we were talking about heavily during Spring Split, because Cool joined halfway through the season. We were able to listen to some of the team comms from FPX, and we realized how much of an impact Cool gave to the team. In fact, he was crucial to some of the comebacks they were able to find during Spring Split. And they had the entire offseason during MSI to rebuild and work with Cool, and they brought in Alex during the summer split. It looks like Alex and Cool are starting to mesh a little bit better together.
Yes, and I really like the fact that now we're putting a focal glasses on towards Cool. Because Cool, you're right, he did help the top side of the map, he did help the bottom side of the map. Problem is, bottom lane's inconsistent with LWX when it comes to team fights, and the top lane just doesn't have a good early laning phase. And so what Alex brought to the team is now the ability to support Cool. He has that experience in the LMS when he was on J-Team, helping out Fofo, and you know what success they had down there. Alex is phenomenal mechanically, and he has great jungle mid lane synergy, and that's what he brought here for Cool.
Which is good, because if Cool is going to be the main assist to the FPX organization, to the actual team, it's good that someone now has his back moving into this, because they brought in the experience, they brought in the veteran. Now they just need to refine that team, refine the talent they have, and try and work out those weaknesses. This split so far for FPX has looked good, and they're actually in contention to try and make a playoff run themselves.
Yes, and I feel like if they're going to have that run, it's going to be off the back of Cool. He has a strong early game, great team fighting, he has the experience to boot. This series should be about Cool.
It should be, and it should be a series for FPX. Vici are going to try and fight back against them. Let's go into the first match today, but before we do, let's hear from Vici's top laner.
LPX 的话，打训练赛打的比较多，然后我觉得我们训练赛赢的比较多，比赛应该也能赢吧。我觉得 LPX 上单的话，对线实力非常强劲。我觉得我要候选打他好一点。
Aldi, respectful as always. Okay. I have lost God. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear that at home, but for some reason, I have an unbelievable amount of reverb in my voice right now, as if I was in a concert hall. Anyway, I'm Pulse. This is Clement, and I don't know if I can continue like this.
You do sound like a celestial body. Wait a minute, I do too. Maybe we're already dead.
This is your conscience speaking. Now, we don't get to talk much, but here we are. Wait, Clement, speak to me.
Hi.
Oh, wait, you're Celestial too?
Yeah.
We're speaking Celestial right now. Alright, well, we're going to send it back to Yanstas for now. This is,
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like we're experiencing some technical difficulties. We put Pulse as well as Clement underwater, not their natural habitat.
I thought that was my conscience speaking to me.
Once they adapt to being underwater, we'll be able to send it back to the castle. So Raz, you and I, we're going to go through picks and bans for FPX taking on Vici. Already bans going through for the first ban phase. Going to be Nidalee, Irelia, as well as Yasuo taken away by FPX. We have Taliyah, Zoe, as well as Aatrox being banned out by Vici.
I love the fact that the studies that these teams have done coming into this set already in the first ban phase. Taliyah's and, Taliyah and Aatrox have to go out in red side. That's a staple, but you don't want to give Alex that because he is phenomenal in the early game. And then also the Zoe pick, great for Cool, and it strengthens that mid lane. But the Yasuo, we know that to be a target ban towards Fire Rain. It's a true test that he could perform on the talent pick.
Yep. And that's the pickup for Vici. We've seen a lot more talent running around in the mid lane. We saw it during Rift Rivals. The LMS squads brought it out to try and counter our gold funnel strategies, and now has become one of the stable mid laners of choice to run with Smite. I said it was a week of upsets, but it's been a week of talent in the mid lane as well. Rakan was the pick coming out from Vici. Swain immediately locked in for FPX as their first pick, a very heavy priority pick in the current meta, with Kindred and Alistar being their final two picks for the first rotation.
Really surprising that FPX decided not to go towards the Xayah pick here. Gives the option for Vici to pick up the Xayah-Rakan matchup. In fact, they do. Rakan is excellent for Caveman, a primary engaged support. you give them the go signal, he will go for it. So Vici, major issues in how they team fight, how to pick it up, you really don't need that worry if Rakan has flash available to them. So very easy for Vici in the bottom side of the map.
Buffed up with the fact that it's the Lover's Lane and the bottom lane of Xayah Rakan. Synergizing very well and has been very staple pick in the bottom side of the map. We thought that, you know, the Essence Reaver changes, they helped a lot of champions like Lucian become very strong in the current meta. We thought they would make champions like Xayah fairly weak, but with Stormrazor being buffed up, becoming one of the more popular picks and very strong on Xayah, and still stayed as a very meta staple AD carry.
Yeah, and the Stormrazor getting buffed, showcasing that you can play more AD carries. That's why I'm looking towards LWX to say, does he pick the Mordekaiser with the Alistar, or does he end up going the route of the Caitlyn? Because old laning phase was, pick Caitlyn and Xayah, you'll feel happy. We've seen that from SMLZ and Deft recently that they're willing to pick it up. Deft with a loss, SMLZ didn't have a good time. I think he ended up picking up the game. So I wonder if LWX have been scrimming with that, or if he just goes for the lane bottom lane.
It is the hot fixed patch, so a couple of AD carries have been buffed up. We were seeing them creep up before the hot fix as well. Varus was one of the popular ones. But you're right, Caitlyn has a possibility to come back into the meta, has been seen someplace, especially paired up with Morgana. The bans that came out from Vici were Gangplank as well as Singed. We had Kennen and Gragas being banned out by FPX. First pick in the second rotation is going to be Trundle for Vici, so hiding their top lane pick for Audi at the moment.
Yeah, it's been the staple for Vici. Picking the Trundle is not for the matchup. Kindred does quite well into it. It's for the composition. So I wonder what that top lane is going to be. They have anything to really back up that kite pack in the composition. Otherwise, they don't really have any true tanks that can start the fight. They can have the burst with the Rakan going in and out, but if the disengage comes out, if the Alistar and the Kindred can deal with the fight expertly well in the beginning, FPX should be handling the longer fights well.
Rumble being picked up as well as Kled. So a very bruiser-heavy composition coming out from FPX. Gonna try and brawl with Vici. Final pick coming out should be the top lane pick for Audi. They've been hiding this as the counter pick.
The Ornn would make sense if they want to have proper front-to-back team fighting. The Rakan, as I mentioned, is great for the random picks that they have, but it doesn't allow them to stay in the fight for longer. The Ornn being picked up, there we have it. Great front-to-back for Vici. Creativity, you can play around with Fire Rain with the talent so he can deal with the flanks. It's going to be nice to see what Vici can do this game. I really like the composition.
Well, if you like Vici's composition, it's quite stock standard, quite meta, you could say. Whereas for side of FPX, it's still very meta, but very brawler heavy. Rumble seems like it's going to be moving into the mid lane for FPX. Cool, pick that one up with Smite, with Kled returning to his natural habitat of the top lane.
There's a lot of reliance on the Alistar to get a proper headbutt pulverize, just because issue here is, if you're at FPX, how do you start the fight? If the combo doesn't come through from the Alistar, then you need to be an Acorn level Rumble to get the ulti across. And you need to be able to time it properly to have Kindred there and available. I think it's just a difficult composition for FPX to run, and they've been a team that really require easy to play comps.
It's going to take some time to see if they can actually do that. We're going to get into the match shortly. We'll be able to throw it over to our casters later on as soon as we get into the game. Hopefully, Clement and Pulse aren't underwater anymore, Raz.
I wonder.
Why did they decide to go underwater right before casting?
I just thought they penetrated my conscience. I thought they were just saying things that I was not thinking. The moment they started having narrative that was completely counter to mine, I was like, wait a second. Raz doesn't believe this.
I was excited for our first underwater cast. I'm now upset.
You can join them.
League of Legends.
You're a fish.
Imagine trying to play League of Legends underwater.
That river would have to get buffed quite a bit.
River walking would be the best Keystone room. So a reminder, Vici currently sitting bottom of the table in their conference, only picking up a single win so far in the LPL. The changes they've made to their roster haven't had huge impacts just yet, but slowly gaining some momentum, gaining some traction. All eyes towards Fire Rain in the mid lane today. As he's up against this man on your screen. Cool for FPX. FPX started spring pretty strong. Now they're trying to start summer even stronger, Raz.
Yeah, it all comes down to the practice behind closed doors, because with how FPX have been doing and meshing with their new jungler and Alex, it's been getting better and better. But if they're trying to penetrate the top 4 of the Western Conference, it all has to come down to this scrim. So obviously we haven't seen too much of it coming into this one up against Vici. We'd expect FunPlus to be the clear favorites here. Vici has not been having good sets.
No, they have not. FPX definitely the favorites coming into this matchup. Vici will have to cause some kind of an upset, and from what I hear from you, Raz, you really like their composition. That could be the key to try and cause an upset against FPX today.
Remember, they put in Coach Rui. They had him since the LSPL, taking Coach Hoon's position. I love this draft from the team. It's already looking good. It's an easy-to-play composition around their hard engages of Ornn and Rakan.
Let's see if they can play around their actual composition. They go into a brawl-heavy match against FPX. We're going to Game 1, this best-of-3 series. And we are onto the Rift. This is a Pulsing Clement takeover. We've infiltrated the desk. And this is ours now. Now, Clement, I feel... I'm going to need you to stop that, Crisp. Now, I feel like we missed a golden opportunity when we were going full Celestial. We weren't underwater, we just descended, right?
Yeah,
but then I could have been like, eat Doritos, use L'Oreal. You know, it was a perfect opportunity to plug sponsors, so unfortunate. Anyways, let's go on to the Rift. FPX versus Vici. Now, Vici, I feel like coming out of Champion Select, the storyline that we were talking about, Clement, when we were sat over there watching it, was they got out of bounds. You know, they started picking up a kill you composition, and then they were like, oh, you know that champion that's causing us problems for the last 4 games? Alex just picked it.
That is true. Vici just don't have a good record against the Kindred. They always run one-hit type of compositions. They like their wombo combos, and Kindred just counters that so damn hard. You go in all at once, the Lamb's Respite comes down, you can't finish anyone off. So Vici Gaming, they're falling for the same traps over again, but I like what Raz was talking about on the desk. They're running a composition that is very easy to execute. It's very clear when everyone is going in at the same time, they have enough initiation to follow the entire thing up.
Yes, indeed. Take a look at the fan vote, though. 57% currently over to FPX. I'm sure that's a fan vote, right, Mr. Clement?
It is a fan vote.
You're the Mandarin speaker
I was a little bit surprised about that, since today is Vici's celebration day. They have a bunch of fans here. They have people beatboxing for them. They have their own cheerleaders in the venue.
They do.
But unfortunately, the vote's still going over to FPX.
Yeah, now I'm not a rapper, but those guys are. So excited to see that. I believe that'll be happening during the breaks. But for now, though, we'll take a look at this mid lane. Now, Core on this Rumble right here playing into a Talon. We're actually seeing a lot of Rumble played into Talon nowadays, usually as a response into Talon being picked up. And we'll also usually take the Smite as well in that mid lane.
It's very rare that you can find a mid lane champion that takes the Smite that can also keep up with the clear of Talon. We've seen this being used by Xie over and over again. And of course, your favorite Nimbus cloak coming into the runes as well.
I'm talking about Alex moving to the bottom lane right here. We're already duking it out because that is a low health Snow. He's actually trading off against LWX right now, up against the shotgun, but he's going to find that blowback. Caveman backing away. He'll flash into him, find the kill, trades 1 for 2 in the end.
Very unexpected ending right there. Caveman with the last tick of Ignite and the auto attack going down, equalizing the kills, but unfortunately the wave is still in a very bad position, so teleport's not of equal value.
Cool under attack in the mid lane. Swift finds the Pillar of Filth, but Cool will flash that one out, go back to his turret, but that one is ripe for a repeat gank.
As you can see, the wave is pushed so far up. If Kindred just goes in there again, there's no way that Vici can safely even hold on to the wave. So you're seeing Swift having to go down there, having to reset the wave along with his bottom lane.
And top lane, 4 minutes into the game. Usually we talk about this one at like 15 minutes, Clement, because we're just like, what's a top lane? But I guess, yeah, what's a top lane? Because we're looking at bot lane once again, and Swift is coming in looking for that Pillar of Filth once again. Here comes Crisp, actually looking for that combo. Finds some knockup onto Snow, but this is AD carries already under attack. Snow gets the kill.
Very easy gank coming out from Swift, in fact. Trundle is always known for those bot lane ganks, but I was a little bit surprised that FPX chose to hard shove the wave out. So they put themselves into a bad position where they could have actually froze. And Trundle was just there in time to pick up the remnants of that fight.
Now, we've had a lot of action in the first 5 minutes of this game. 4 kills to 4 minutes, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop because Alex is on his way to the top lane. He has been pinged out, and there has been a ward placed down here by Aldi. So in the end, he won't manage to get this gank to happen. But Firerain looking for that invade, of course, with the smite on Talon. Low on mana, and Cool closing around from the backside. The unseen cow is the deadliest parkour over the wall, but the cow will follow. Gives him the cowbell, looking to back away. Here comes Visions of War, dodges out of that one, but he's low mana, low health. Flashes over the wall, that's a big one. Back to Trundle, and Firerain will make it out.
Yeah, he did have to use his flash instead of the Assassin's Path because that animation does take a while to load, choosing the safe option to get out as soon as possible. Great roam coming out from Crisp.
Yeah, no one expects the cow to be in that bush at that time, but he came back from base, of course, after that prior play into the bottom lane. And it's just counterpunch after counterpunch. Lays down the pineapples, and Cool will take out the middle lane wave. Go back to base. Look for that preferential timing there. Now on the bottom lane, we've had a lot of action. A lot of people have died. There's been 4 kills happening in this bottom lane. Actually, a Cool has now been picked up by Snow off of his Doran's Blade, and now being pushed into the tower as per normal. But this is a Swain Alistar matchup, so you do expect the push.
Swain Alistar is actually one of the most dangerous bot lanes we currently have in the meta. Lots of CC opportunities.
I definitely have seen this one before. Oh, I feel so sorry for you, LWS, getting caught on that one. Perfect pillar placement, but here comes a counter guy coming in from the jungle. So, under attack, he's looking to back away, but he has no flash on this one. Slowly being killed by this wave. One more auto, but he's blocked by the minions. Oh, he's going to find it. The claw comes in for the kill.
Yeah, good read there by Alex going down to their bot lane. They didn't have river control, and they were trying to defend their bot lane. Of course, Vici did come in faster with Swift there, but they do trade. They do get the kills faster in that scenario. I feel like Crisp with another hero play. Triple pulverize to end it.
You take the long route back to your jungle, Alex. You come to the bottom lane, find a kill. At the very least, I'm going to buy a bit of your time. Cool on his way to the top side of the map. Just seeing if there's a red buff right there. Thing goes down. And it has indeed been tagged. That second Harpoon finding its mark. And he's actually just taking this one away. Well, Firerain is rotating in from the mid lane, so which way is he going to choose? Left, right? Well, he's got the parkour ready to go. Oh no! I want to see the end of that. Okay, well, we're going to see the bottom lane here.
Yep, the important thing here is Kindred's pathing. They knew that the bot lane was in a bad position. They go in, and excuse me, Crisp only gets the double knockup, but it's enough to stop the damage going on to LWX, and they're able to turn this gank.
I feel like that was just an episode of JoJo's right there. It's like, to be continued. What happened? I don't know. Alex has a red buff. I'm not sure if the mid lane has managed to get it, but either way, in the bottom side, Kindred is looking over the wall. That's another nice claw coming over. Finds the lockdown onto Snow. He's being chased back to his tower. Not even going to make it a couple inches. And Caveman pretty much unscathed off the back of that gang. 4-2. FPX are demolishing this bottom lane.
And this is just such a brutal gank to watch from the bot lane. Coming over and over again. Cool doesn't have his flash here.
I mean, Cool lays down the carpet once again, but he's being chased back to his tower. He's going to die before this teleport comes through because Swift will flash after him. But here comes the charge out from the Kled. He's locked onto his target. Violent Tendencies is ready to go, and Gimgoon claims the kill.
And 8 minutes in, we're already keeping up at 8 kills. So for everyone at home, Vici is actually the fastest playing team in the LPL. Their early games are always hectic. They fall behind quite often, but I actually like watching this team because they always go in for so many kills. Swift is always trying to hard carry his lanes through those ganks. It's just not working out for him so far.
Look at him. Alex is back at the bottom lane once again. Now, every time I watch Alex, I'm actually quite happy with how Alex has moved into the LPL because he's very proactive. He gets out there onto the map no matter what champion he's playing and makes an impact, whether that's ganking, whether it's looking towards the enemy jungle, but he always does something in the early game. Now, you can't really say all of that in the mid game because that's where I feel like FPX is definitely a little bit sloppy, but then at the end of the game, if you just forget the first like 30 minutes of the game, you're like, FPX, pretty good team.
There's some things they can do very well, and those are late game team fighting and snowballing their lanes. Now, I really agree with you on the Alex point. I felt like after he's let go of the Nocturne pick, he's had much more impact. He's much better on these early game champions. The Nocturne, well, you know, he does like to play these assassin warrior type champions. Really hasn't been his go-to anymore in these last few games, and he's been doing very well on the Kindred.
As indeed, and speaking of Alex, he's looking towards the top lane. Gimgoon close to being deskulled, but he's just going to wait for this one. There is a ward, not where he needs it, Mr. Aldi in the top lane. This is going to be a surprise attack coming in here. Now, will he stay?
Quick stat for Audi.
Oh, I'm ready for a quick stat.
He has the most pre-10-minute deaths of any top laner.
Oh boy. Well, we've got 20 seconds, Clement, so if he dies afterwards, we're good, right?
Yep. but the wave is pushing out.
He's got 13 seconds not to die. Charges away. He's got the better trap on top of him. Jazz comes through as well. Aldi is definitely dead right here. Oh, he's dead before the 10-minute mark. Unfortunate.
Quick stats don't lie.
Quick stats don't lie. Believe in the heart of the stats.
Unfortunate right there. Always lacking a bit of coordination with his jungler into the top side. This is the part of Vici that I didn't really understand coming into the split.
Okay.
I felt like getting Audi, who is known as a Camille main, would mean that they would have a strong top side. Would mean that they would try to at least snowball that lane. They've never had a lot of success in the bottom lane. Their mid lane is a new rookie in Fire Rain, but you know that game plan has just never happened. It's never materialized, and we're seeing Audi a lot of times left out to dry.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, Clement, because we look at Vici, and we always call them like this slow team, almost like what WE was, just not as effective. You know, they were the team of 1,000 cuts, and nowadays when you look at them, hold that thought for a second, because Fire Rain is tracking Alex in the jungle. If you don't have it, buddy, you need to go back and get that one.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
Gimgoon? Maybe? Nope.
What?
Nope, not Gimgoon. All right.
This isn't
Anybody?
happening.
Maybe Alex. Oh! Gimgoon was like, hey,
there's
you
pings,
need to get
there's
that.
pings.
Yeah. Yeah, Gimgoon was coming down and was like, I'll take it if you don't want it. Alex got someone after the crab. Flash after, nice gank coming in from the bot side of mid lane. Caveman locks him down and Fire Rain claims the kill.
Insta-kill coming in from the Talon right here. The dangerous part about Talon is if he can start getting those solo kills in lane. It's not supposed to happen because he's actually missing one ability in terms of the E, but when it does, it means he can then go to any single lane and start influencing the map. So after this kill, and after the bot lane has been pushing so
Chris,
heavily.
Don't do it, don't do it, don't walk into that bush. Pops the ultimate instantly, Unbreakable will, but it's not that much damage reduction at this point in the game. He's getting carved down. Great ultimate coming out of Alex, but Chris, can he get out of this one? He does have the flash, gets the heal out of that one, but it's the pillar which actually blocks them off, coming out from their own team. Alderexon from the bottom lane looking for the punish from the shotgun is moving forward. Snow rotating as well, and in the end, the count survives.
Little ambitious, face-checking that brush for Crisp right there. Don't know what he was thinking about. Like, the enemy team could only be in that quadrant. He saw them leaving lane towards the bot side, but still decided to go in for a check. Does take a lot out of the FPX to keep him alive, but fortunately for them, they do get the tower on the back end of that.
Exactly. I mean, Shelly gets placed down. It's just counterpunch after counterpunch after counterpunch. It almost feels like there's no setup because there is so little time to do so. And again, it's just this sucker punch coming in from the bottom side of the map out from Caveman.
Yep. Perfect CC chain there, not even allowing him the chance to use perfect timing. Takes cooldown.
Yeah, now Aldi moving to the top side of the map. And to go back to that previous point, now Vici were a team, you know, they're very slow, looking for these small wins, and nowadays they completely changed their style. I actually think a large part of that was actually Swift when he came onto the team. Very much changed the way that Vici operated, and then also Fire Rain coming into the starting roster over Easy, who most of the time has also had a massive impact. Now, we see Vici more as a team who have like a one-track mind nowadays, and I think this is part of it, but I do think here in this game against FPX they are rising to the occasion.
Yeah, Vici always likes these hectic early games, and that's kind of the style that Swift really brought with the team. You know, Easy Hoon used to be the 30-minute player for them as well. Fire Rain has a very, very different champion pool, so that does shift most of their attention towards the early game, towards trying to snowball Fire Rain on those assassins. However, I do think it brings a lot of limitations to Vici as well. They don't really have the strong late game team fight that people are thinking about, and it's also made their composition very single track minded.
Yeah,
they always play the Wombo combo, and the Kindred has always there and been the answer against Vici for so long.
I think that's the key point as we see the second tower now fall for FPX, is because you're right. Well, it's nice that they identified what their key strength is and what they want to go towards. I think of like BLG before Chiefs and the Mole era, when they were like, we are the comeback kids, we are the 5v5 team fighters, we'll blast you in team fights, and that's how we'll win these games. And they were very aware of that. Do you know what their weaknesses were? Do you know what their strengths were? Now, I look at Vici right now, kind of starting on that track once again. So you think of BLG like 2 to 3 split to go, and it's good that they're actually moving towards this way, but you're right, they need to identify what their blockers are, and I think one massive one has got to be that Kindred. And again, it's the 5th game in a row now that we're seeing them not ban it away, not have an answer to it, and start off their draft with an assassin. So it's like everyone knows what Vici is going to do, and then FPX is just like, does anyone play Kindred? Put it in the bottom lane, put it in the jungle. As long as we have Kindred, we win the game.
The drafting phase definitely went in FPX's favor. Very intelligently, they took away the Gragas, the traditional counter to the Kindred, can knock everyone out of the Lamb's Respite. And also just the top lane. We heard in the interview that Audi was looking for that counter matchup into the top lane. Didn't get it. You had to pick a tank for the composition. So overall, we're seeing Vici actually start out with a lot of rather weak lanes, to be honest. Like, the top lane's not going to win by itself. The bot lane should have a bit of difficulty as well going into level 3, level 4. Their only really big point on the map that I feel like they could utilize is that Talon and the kill pressure he does have on the Rumble.
Oh, that feels bad. Byron taking that whole camp away. Only 10 gold in the pockets of Cool. Snow and Caveman actually in the bottom side of mid. But not going to choose to go for this gank. Cool backing on to his jungle, or backing off to his jungle. Alex clearing that ward as well. Caveman sitting on this control ward. And Chris clearing out this one in his own jungle as well, doing a bit of spring cleaning. Just going to tag him there, just make himself known. Clear out that ward. But now FPX are actually moving as a group. 3-man death squad into this bottom side of the river. Next dragon will be spawning shortly in 30 seconds, so it makes sense that they are doing so for the setup. And that one will be a mountain dragon. So the first one of the game was going over to Vici. That was an ocean dragon, which is nice for laning phase, but I have to feel, Clement, that's a little bit over.
The Mountain Drake will be heavily contested in this game so far. I think if FPX get the correct setup, they should be able to secure it. Talon's actually a very weak champion when it comes to this open arena around the Dragon Pit. There isn't a lot of avenues for him to come in cleanly. And when you talk about Rumble, you always talk about the first Dragon fight. So if I'm Vici right here, I'm probably thinking this is a chance to pull the waves out a little bit, get a bit more gold, but not really go full in.
I mean, FPX already control the area. They'll take this one away. Swift, does he want to look for this engage? Well, Gimgoon's the one who's trailing behind right now. Elduix potentially under attack. Here comes the Ram. Once again, looks to knock down Elduix. He goes into perfect timing. It's actually just a brawl on front lines once again as Chris is trying to tie up the back line. Great Respite comes in and Aldi getting chunked down. Swift in the midst of the pit as Snow goes down. Fire Rain getting chased out, but Gimgoon gets de-scored. Jumping back towards the backside of the fight. That's Swift going down. Fire Rain looking for some cleanup kills, but he simply doesn't have the damage. Now Heath is going to get double harpoons and dropped by Swain.
We don't usually say this, but LWX had one of the best positionings in that fight. He walked towards the ramp instead of into the brush, where Fire Rain was waiting right for him with the Shadow Assault ready already. And FPX right there, they do take smart paths out of the fight. The Ornhorn only manages to land on one single person, and Crisp is able to take out most of the damage carries onto the front line. LWX has an undisrupted fight where he can deal as much damage as he possibly can. And here is that crucial move. LWX flashes out and watches pathing afterwards. Doesn't face check. Gets into the Lamb's Respite in time, and the tail end of the Equalizer is still burning onto Snow.
Now, I will say, when I was watching his positioning, he did the right thing, but he didn't, like, turn on a dime. Like, part of his natural instinct was to go in, and he kind of did, like, a horseshoe, and then went back to his team and was like, okay, this is the right decision. But part of it was like, I will go towards the enemies, I will kill them, and he's like 5% HP on Swain.
It's actually part of his contract. He cannot flash backwards.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
He always has to go forwards. Well, that's fair, but there is definitely learning coming in from LWX. We call him the shotgun for a reason. He likes to be close range no matter what he's playing. You think this might be a Swain thing, but it's not. His Swift completely locked down in his jungle. He's just going to fall to the pineapple. Does not like that citrus food. And in the middle lane, oh no, top lane. Going to have the charge come in from Gimgoon. And double parkour over the wall. Fire Rain will get away, but he is not winning that top side of the map as mid lane's also getting sieged.
Yeah, nothing going right for Vici right now. They're losing the entire top side, and we can see a 4-man already forming up. Equalizer is used, however, so once the Ornhorn, well, the Ornhorn is definitely in place, they should be able to defuse this.
Yeah, Chris a little bit slow on the follow-up there, but he still did manage to zone him away. Takes a bit of damage, though. Drops him down to half, and FPX will actually just decide to back away, play it safe, and actually sweep the resources in the jungle. And Gimgoon also pushing up in the top side. Now, yes, it's just constant aggression coming in from FPX. Some things do get diffused, but in the first 20 minutes of play, they've almost managed to accrue themselves a 5,000 goal lead just from kills and farm alone.
I think Vici really needs to wait their time to strike. They're playing with an AD carry that needs to scale up with the items, and also they need to find very good avenues where the talent can actually enter team fights. I really disagree with the idea of entertaining the 5v5 around the Dragon Pit. They were stuck in 2 different positions, and the equalizer from Cool just had such an easy time zoning out the entire backline. Prisp as well had a very good impact onto that fight. So Vici not really picking the best situations to strike. They're much better going for just side lane pickoffs where they have the Ornn for in a long lane and then have Fire Rain come up to finish up the kills.
Now, I actually think this is FPX's special power, right, Clement? Because I was watching their game the other day. In fact, I was casting it versus RNG over in Beijing. And you know what RNG did? Well, they got involved in the madness with FPX. And that was a little bit strange. But now I'm watching other teams do the same thing, and FPX's style has definitely evolved. I know at the start of the split they had a bunch of different things that they moved towards. Now they've kind of gone back to what I would call the brawler style that FPX had back in spring, and now I feel like they're doing it better. But somehow, I don't know if they said something in the pre-game lobby about them, but like every team just wants to get down, get in the mud with them. But FPX are the mud wrestlers. I think Frost called them the Jello wrestlers. But they will win every single time because this is what they practice.
Yeah, they're really embracing their own inconsistencies. When we think about FPX, we think about a bunch of above average players. Like, all of their lanes individually actually are very talented. Even LWX, sure, he has some team fight mishaps, but in the lane, he's actually very decent. And we're seeing FPX go more towards that early game just to enhance that, especially with Alex's picks as well. He's gone much more heavily towards the pre-6 junglers just to capitalize on his lanes.
I believe it was Raz actually on the desk talking about the amount of experience they have across this roster in terms of veteranship, and it's like over 10 years on FPX, which is a lot when you have players like Cool. I mean, Gimgoon is not his first rodeo. You look at towards players even like Alex, Crisp, and LWX, they're actually got a lot of experience now. Gimgoon in his bottom lane trading off against Fire Rain, and Fire Rain's got to know that yes, he's dropping the Kled near no skull time, but all he needs is, as you told me, Clement, he needs what, five auto attacks and a pocket pistol, and he's back on skull.
Basically, your entire violent tendencies, which is 4 hits, 1 auto attack, and the full Q, you're back on Skarl again. You could see Kled was a little bit rattled right there by the damage coming out from Fire Rain.
A bit shy. That's totally fine. I mean, at the same time, Fire Rain has been farming up a storm this game. Got 246 farm at 22 minutes, which is quite a lot for a talent. Picked up his mobility boots, of course, his penetration and his Tiamat, the core of a Talon's build, but he's also completed the Duskblade and is well on his way to his second lethality item. So Fire Rain is definitely hurting. He just needs to get on top of a target, and fortunately, there happens to be a pesky Kindred on the other side. So if Alex is at the top of his game in these team fights, that will be a big problem for him.
There isn't a lot of targets for Fire Rain at all, and even worse, they don't have any side lane control. Like, we've been seeing FPX run Gimgoon into the Talon. They know that he probably won't win that matchup one-on-one, but at least he can keep the wave pushing and shoving. So how is Vici going to actually use the assassin that they drafted for themselves? It's the big question for me in this game.
And I think that's the problem here, Clement, right? Because we're 23 minutes into the game, and because this early game has gone so well for FPX, they have a lot of disposable income, and you look towards those early Zhonya's. So in the mid lane, Cool's got Zhonya's, LWX has a Zhonya's, Kindred gets a Zhonya's at level 6, Gimgoon has a Skarl, right? Like, what's your target? Alistar, who pops ultimate and is an Alistar? Like, there's no good target for him to assassinate. So in team fights, the best he can hope for is a lot of AoE damage and just hope that the rest of his team has enough to finish the fight.
Yeah, the best scenario I could see for Vici is if somehow Fire Rain manages to snipe out Alex before he can use anything. That's probably the best case scenario. But even then, it's a very tall task, and Alex is definitely a mechanical player.
Cool knew something was up, but now he's full farming this wave. They're waiting for Swift actually to come up here before he moves down, but Chris was actually also moving up. He stops the dash over the wall. Caveman has to flash out of this one, lays down the pineapples, and here comes Alex from the bottom side as well. Here's Gimgoon. He's got the teleport, charges onto Caveman, blasts him immediately as he's trying to back away. That's a second kill, and my god, did that play backfire for Vici?
Yeah, Vici could have done it if there was only one person checking, but once the Alistar went into the bush and saw the entire team, they didn't even dare go onto the Rumble. They knew there was
over the wall, finds the claw, finds the skull. Gimgoon chasing after. He's getting chased out by Snow, but that's all he really wants to do. A pocket pistol over the wall, right into the Baron. FPX secure it.
clean plays coming out from the entirety of FPX. They were ready for something like that to happen. They knew Vinci's only out was to utilize Fire Rain in an effective way, probably a pickoff. And you see how Rumble kind of baited them to stay in that brush. He knew that Alistar was coming already, and he just walked in when they finally revealed themselves.
A really nice interrupt coming out there from Crisp at the same time, and it was just a full collapse. It was all at the same time coming in from FPX. It's like, what do you say about my mid laner? Gimgoon teleports, Alex was on his way to top lane, Crisp was there ready to punch someone before they can escape. Like, it's just all so clean from FPX because they're always ready for a fight.
And Gimgoon had so much priority in that bot lane as well. He had Audi push all the way up, and you could tell Audi was holding on to his teleport, he was holding on to his ultimate. It was a this is a done deal. There's nothing I can change in this fight. This happens so fast for FPX. The amount of burst damage they have, the amount of 5v5 potential for this team composition is absolutely, like, through the roof.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, for sure. Stopping the charge out there from Gimgoon, follows up with a second ultimate onto the Kled. Now he's low, this is burst potential, it could be a kill, and it is secured by Fire Rain. But the rest of FPX, they heard the cries of their top laner, and they were firmly on their way to the bottom side. They actually have a minion wave here on top of that Baron, so they should be able to take the tower regardless. Fire Rain is actually cutting off the way behind them, but they still have this one melee minion and this one cannon minion.
Trade going over to FPX entirely, 1 kill for 1 tower, and they traded Swift back as well.
Oh, they've caught the Ornn as well. Audi under attack. K-Pan turns on towards them with the swiftness, but the top lane's already dead. Throwing out the Feather Storm, and LWX is still moving forwards. He doesn't seem to realize the team isn't there with him, but LWX doesn't care. Pops the ultimate, Crisp is there. His best buddy, flash forwards, pulverize, and follows him onto the rest of the team. Fire Rain comes back from base, gets corrected in the face by Alex, and K-Man backs away to the Nexus, but it's FPX slamming down the front door and looking for the win.
Such a trust fall coming out from FPX. They knew the Lamster Spite was there, and they were willing to go ham, all in onto the enemy composition. We saw LWX and Crisp fall to below half health. It was very close situation, but they knew that Alex would back them up in that scenario, and FPX are just showing the superior coordination compared to Vici.
Clement, that was 2 harpoons and a minion wave, and that took down Swift to a 3rd HP. That is absolutely insane. The amount of damage coming out from these AP damage dealers at mid-game, which could be the end of the game, is disgusting. And Vici, honestly, right now, with a 12,000 gold deficit, seems to have no answer.
Let's watch that fight again. Crisp taking on the target of Audi. Audi is the tankiest member on the team, by the way, but he falls off to a single combination from the entire team. Equalizer actually does not land anyone. Cool actually equalized on LWX, but it doesn't even matter. You can see Crisp going in with another hard CC. Kindred on the back line. There's no way any of them fall right here, so they're willing to go ham, all in.
I mean, what I just love about that play is just the fact that LWX just barrels down into the base by himself, man on a mission, and Crisp like backs away, then realizes his AD carry has gone in, then loops back into the base and follows it with a flash. That's what I like to see.
It's like, oh, this guy's going deeper than I thought.
Yeah. But he was there to back him up, you know? Best friends until the end, looking for the combo onto the top laner. We'll pick anyone, it doesn't matter if he's your tank or not. Swift is looking off to the side, seeing if he can find a good pillar, but it's actually Kled who's charging in. We split up the team once again, going to stealth, but really it's just who can get away from this massacre that's about to occur in the Vici base. It's going to be one martyr in the form of Swift, and the rest of them, they got the message.
I think FPX are just going to continue to roll on here. It's a 5v4. Pool goes in.
Yes, they are. He was looking for the opportunity, cuts the aggro using that Zhonya's. Audi pushing forwards with Fire Rain is locked onto by the Kled. Aldi, he's got no team behind him. Where the damage dealers? Where's the team right now for Aldi? Not there, that's for sure. He's dead. Tower being turned onto. 18 kills from FPX in under half an hour. Longest gate times. What? Was that a statistic for these two teams? Because that's not what I'm seeing right now. FPX clear up the game below half an hour.
What a fast turnaround for FPX. The early game was a little bit hectic. They traded kills here and there, but the cohesion from the team really came out. The winning lanes profiting from the mid-game onwards, and Vici are realizing that this team can really brawl and they will punish mistakes to the maximum. Vici cannot fall for those teamfight mistakes and go for that big dragon 5v5 against the equalizer from Cool. It was just not a very good call, and you could see how fast the entire map collapses from just one play like that.
Yeah, I don't know, Clement. I feel like I have a very simple solution, and part of that is ban Kindred. I think that's a big part of trying to solve these issues for Vici, because at the very start, at least that's the foundations, right? You're right, there's a lot in-game that you can solve, but if there isn't a Kindred, and there isn't just like multiple Zhonya's across the board that are just stopping your big playmakers from actually doing anything, like you want that talent, you want Fire Rain, the assassin player, to be able to make a mark in the game, but when Kindred's there, it just makes it way more difficult.
The Kindred is also very good in the early game as well, and I think that's the big problem that Vici had to contend with. They don't have a single winning lane in terms of their gold stats, and if they let FPX run away with the early game like that, they're looking at a very difficult scenario to actually utilize an assassin, which has to snowball.
It's just starting off from the wrong foot, basically, which is just making it difficult to even do anything in the mid-game or even the late game if you even get there. For now, though, guys, we are going to go to a quick break, but when we get back, we'll be here with the second game between these two teams.
火凤凰的精神就是不畏挑战，燃烧青春。